Hello, everybody. I hope you can see us and hear us because we're coming to you live from brand new equipment. Yes, my MacBook finally arrived and my brain is exhausted. We've had yesterday and today. Yesterday there was quite a few tense moments. Let's just say whole new language coming out of my mouth about things. Today has been a little better, but I'm still just overwhelmed with how this whole thing is working. So, hello Laura, hello Jan, Glenna, Barb, Jeannie, Fidel, Donna. So just let me know, can you see us and hear us okay? Because this was one of the things I was cursing about yesterday. I was desperately trying to get all my cameras and everything working in OBS and the whole bit. Because for the live. And there was some tense moments, but I think everything's working okay right now. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Jennifer. So I'm assuming you can see us and hear us. Okay, right? Right? Speak up or forever hold your peace. Yes, okay. Thank you, Laura, for the confirmation of that. That is great. Okay, so we can get going here. So what's Walter been working on? Still working on that.
Still working on shirt. Almost done. I just gotta put buttons on it, and that's about it.
Hi, Marchan.
But it's been preoccupied by other things, like
what other things?
You yelling at your computer.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is what technology is for. But you've been doing stuff in the yard. You got all our containers up.
I was putting plants out and stuff like that, and getting busy doing other things.
Hi, Maxie. Marchan says sounds good. Great picture. Yeah, it's the camera in this one we're using the built-in camera. Usually I used a webcam for my other computer because the camera in the other computer was not that good. But this is what, a 1080p.
Yeah, that's a 1080p. Well, the other camera's a 1080p that you have.
Yeah, but it's still not very... They use a different technology on Macs. But anyway, so yeah. Hi, Kathy. So, that's what you've been working on. What have I been working on? Well, here we go. We're going to see if I can show you a picture like I usually do. I'm just going to switch here and hope I don't screw anything up. Full screen.
You still have to switch it though, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to switch it. Yeah, I'm going to switch it, but I just wanted to make sure it was working.
Okay.
Okay, so. Oops. Wrong button. That's the one I wanted. All right, with the picture in the picture. Yeah, one of the problems I had yesterday, too, was getting the Elgato, the Stream Deck device I use for switching my cameras, up and running. That was the worst thing yesterday. Trying to figure out how to get that thing to operate. How come? Oh, that's... Yeah, they're a little delayed. There you go. So anyways, but I think I've got it. So bear with me if I screw up a little bit here. So, as you can see on the screen... Remember that quilt that I was having a lot of problems with? Well, what quilt don't I have a lot of problems with, you're probably saying? This is with glowing hearts. Well, I've made the second two blocks. Actually, they're the same block. The first one over on the closest to you here on the left side of the screen. That's the one that I redid once I figured out that my 1/4-inch seam allowance was not doing a 1/4-inch seam. And they turned out okay. And then this is the second block is on the other side. And they turned out okay, the right size. But I can tell you this, I am not enjoying making the blocks in this quilt at all. There's all kinds of cutting. They're kind of complex to put together. And just can't say I'm really thrilled with it. So I'm working on it in bits and pieces. I don't think this one's going to be done for a while. Definitely not going to be done in time for Canada Day, I don't think. But I've been working on some other things as well. And, well, that's kind of sideways, but that's okay. So... You've seen this before because this is part of what that one looks like that's on my cupboard doors. Sorry, the picture's a little blurry because of the way I took it. But I think it might have been Jan who's on here today. She said she'd like to see more things of me doing in the hoop embroidery, like using the machine. And I thought, okay, I wanted another one of these because my goal was to make enough of these to fill my cabinet doors, and I have 4 cabinet doors, and I haven't got around to it, so it gave me an excuse. This one's half done, and I've been recording while I've been doing it as well, and talking about the ins and outs of in the hoop embroidery and in the hoop applique kind of a thing. So hopefully next week I'll get this done, and I'll be able to get the video up at some point then too. It takes much longer when you do these kinds of videos, but I do have a new program on the Mac, which I have not really tried yet, and it's called Final Cut Pro. I bought it when I ordered the computer because it's supposed to be a great program on a Mac for editing videos and everything. And I don't really like editing, but I thought I would get it when I had the chance, and so I did. And I haven't played with it yet, so we'll see what's going to happen. Eventually, what I would like to be able to do is, instead of having to transfer my videos over to my iPad and doing my compiling there and then back to my other, I shouldn't have to do that anymore. I should be able to do it on one computer, which would make life a little easier. But we'll see. I'm still learning all this stuff. So watch for the video for that sometime soon. And let me go back to us, and let me see if I can get out of this up here so we can see what we need to see. And there, oops, that didn't work.
No, you pushed the wrong button.
I pushed the wrong button. It's the red button that I want. Yeah, what? No. Yeah,
no, that's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so what are people saying here? It's hi, all from Florida. Okay.
Hello from PA.
Oh, Judy's here. Hello, Judy. Hello, Jeannie from PA. Sweltering in Florida. And hi, Patsy. Yeah, they do look nice, but it just takes so much to put them together, Laura. I mean, I'm just not enjoying it. I don't know why. Future Cat. Hello, Future Cat. Yes, this is an interview you will see next Tuesday. Future Cat's from New Zealand, and I interviewed her on Friday night. We had a really interesting talk, and I'm sure everybody's going to be really interested in seeing that interview when it goes up, which will be next Tuesday. So thank you so much, Future Cat, for agreeing to do an interview with me. Hi, Marlene. Yes, welcome to the new language of iMac. Yep. Hi, Sly. Laura says, is your new die cutter helping with the cutting of your Canadian quilt blocks? Well, guess what? For this block, or for this one, I have not been using the AccuQuilt because this is another one of those patterns that has 1/8 of an inch, and AccuQuilt does not like 1/8 of an inch. I wish they did a little bit, or if there was a way you could make it adjustable. Of course you can't. But nope, I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. Well, I'm overcutting them. I could use the AccuQuilt. I shouldn't say I can't. I could use the AccuQuilt. But I've already got the pieces cut out. I cut them a while ago. And, well, I did cut some of them with the AccuQuilt. But there's still a lot of trimming to do, and it takes time. What was that? You
Nothing.
Up chucking your cookies? What?
No, it's Barb Olson says, thumbs up, people. Steven needs to pay for it.
Yeah, like me. Everybody hit the like button. I'll wait. I'm watching. Yeah.
That'll take a while.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. Yeah, jeez. But anyways, it finally came. I got it, and it's done with. And there'll be more stories about the Mac, I'm sure, as time goes on. But quite frankly, I do like it. I mean, it's a steep learning curve in some ways.
I mean, when you've used PCs for your entire life,
yeah,
then it's a bit of a learning curve to get into the Mac world. So, I mean, it's not terrible, but it takes a little bit.
Yeah, Derek says, hello from Derek in Scotland. Still haven't gotten to grips with my Mac after 3 years. Yeah. It is. It doesn't. You have to change, and why my brain is tired, you have to change your way of thinking. If you've come from a PC, there are some things that are similar, but there's just enough differences that it becomes frustrating. and you have to relearn.
Yeah, I actually logged on to my old PC today because I was looking for something, and I had to think a minute. That
Yeah.
worked for. I mean, I've used PCs all my life, and then I recently, about a year and a half ago, I ended up with a Mac, and I use it most of the time. So I went back, but it's like riding a bike. You just go back to it.
Well, sort of. Well, I'm jumping between two computers. I mean, yesterday when I opened up the computer, I got it on Friday, but I said I was not going to. I was busy with other things. I was leaving it in its box and not going to do it until Saturday morning. And I said to Walter, who was still in bed when I got up to do this at like about 6 o'clock in the morning, I said, "You are about to hear yelling, screaming, foul language, and everything. You'll know that I'm working with the Mac when I do that." But I had it clear my whole desk that we're actually looking at right now. And one advantage of the Mac was less wires. I've never seen the under part of my desk so clean. I pulled out wires that weren't attached to anything under there. There must have been something I had years ago that was plugged in, and when I unplugged it, it was so tangled in with everything else that I just never bothered to pull the wire out. So now the old computer is actually sitting right over my shoulder. You can see it way over there on that desk. And I got rid of a lot of peripherals on it that I don't really need. I'm trying to embrace the cloud idea of things and whatnot. So, I used to have a lot of external drives. But Walter surprised me with a little new toy. He got me a box. Well, it's a box. What's it called?
It's basically a docking station.
Oh, is that what they call it? Docking station. So it's got places for extra Thunderbolt connections. The one thing about Apple, although according to Walter, this one has more than they had on the last issues of MacBooks. It only has 2 or is it 3 Thunderbolt connections on the side of it.
This one has 3.
3. And, you fill those up pretty quick. Plus, I still have things that need to be plugged into the USB and whatnot. So this little box has what? How many
Thunderbolts?
Thunderbolts?
It has actually 18 connections at both, but it has a bunch of USB-As, and it has extra Thunderbolt ports. It has some microphone port and a headphone port and SD card readers, so it helps.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't read an SD Mini, though, does it?
Yes,
or does
it does.
Oh, yes,
There's
it does. It's one right there.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. That's good.
one of the reasons I purchased that one. I figured you'd get more use out of it.
Because for my 3D printers, I have to use the Mini, and then
Now, the other part of the problem with the Apticker box, that's the box that I got from the photo place.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had been looking at this box for a while. It's a brand new box that they produced this year. It's called a TS4. It's CalDigit TS4. And I was on a waiting list to be notified when it came in stock. So the store I bought it from notified me on Friday, not on Friday, last week, just in time for Steve's Mac to arrive. And so I went on and purchased it right away, and they were pretty quick at sending it to me. But I looked on their site a day later, and they're out of stock again. So.
Well, it's working really well. It's fantastic. It was an early birthday present from Walter.
No, I just figured that it was. I put it as a birthday present. I just figured it was something that I think he needed, that he wasn't aware that he needed.
No, and you were afraid that I'd say, "Oh, I need to get another," and I'd just go right on.
I gave it. I put the box on top of his computer before. With a note on it the night before, because I figured that as soon as he unwrapped his computer, he would say, "Oh, geez, I need more connections." So
yeah, but it's very nice. I'm very happy to have it. It was not a cheap toy. What was it, about $500?
That's for the That's for just the what do you call it? Docking station. But my old Toshiba docking station that I bought a long time ago. It was almost $200, and that was over 10 years ago.
Well, I've got to say that anything for a Mac is expensive. Yeah. Actually, I have a couple of extra parts that I bought that I don't really need.
The reason it's expensive is because it's Thunderbolt, and it's the that Mac uses, and it comes with a Thunderbolt cable, and those cables alone are expensive. So.
Yeah, well, of course, anything Mac is expensive. So let's see, what are people saying here? Da da da. Dana's here. Hi, Dana.
Jeannie says, I hate word processing difference. Steve purchased, which I have as well, Microsoft Office for the Mac.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm a dedicated WordPerfect user. I have been since WordPerfect first came onto the market, and I had a computer like way back in the 80s, kind of a thing. I've used Word because I had to use Word at school, usually on this network at school, because that's all they had on there. So, I mean, and Word has gotten so much better than the early days. It used to be WordPerfect was much better, in my opinion, than Word was. But Corel bought out WordPerfect, and they have not kept up with the technology. They keep coming out with new updates, but it's just not the way it was when they were really being active about it. And so Word's kind of taken over. Well, the business world uses Word.
Yeah, like when I worked for a company that for years and years and years, because we were a Canadian company, we used WordPerfect. And then they made the switch at one point in time to Microsoft Word, and I had to relearn everything for Word. But once I got used to using Word, it was fine. I didn't have any problems with it, and I got used to it. So,
yeah.
What's interesting on PCs, if you want to buy Word, you can't actually buy it. You have to do it by subscription.
Yeah.
But if you have a Mac, you can actually purchase.
Although you got to be careful. I installed it today, and what it comes in is this cute little box, and all that's in the box is a little fold-out pamphlet telling you how to get started, and a card with a key with your activation code on it. And you have to go to a website. They tell you where to go and download it. But when I was downloading it, I thought, well, where is it? I had clicked on what they told me to do. Well, they put it in little fine print, because right in big print above it, which you could think this is what you were getting, they want you to subscribe to 360. And then below it, it said, or have you purchased something? And it's not as highlighted. And they want like a monthly fee for a subscription for it. And there's no way I want to do that. I don't want to get caught up with that. I've got enough things I pay for on a subscription basis. But I got it and installed it, and it's fine. Now, the one thing that was bugging me, though, about it is it's Microsoft Office. So, you have Word and you have PowerPoint, but you also have Excel. And Excel is a spreadsheet. And I do all our household accounts and my finances and that on Quattro Pro, which is the one that comes with WordPerfect. And I've used that for years. But spreadsheets are pretty much the same across the board. I mean, they do the same stuff, little quirks and that. And I thought, can I convert? Yes, I could. I was able to figure out how to convert my existing files, and without having to, recreate spreadsheets and everything. So that was a good thing. The other thing too is older versions of Word used to have a facility that you could download into it for free from them that would convert WordPerfect documents into docs. The native format of Word. Can't seem to find that. Now I have to still explore it, but I found a spot on the web, on the internet, where you can put in a WordPerfect document, and it keeps the formatting the whole bit, converts it perfectly. So I tried it, but here's the kicker. It'll only allow you to do 3 files every hour. So if you want to do a lot more, you have to buy a subscription. But here's the kicker on their subscription. First of all, I didn't think it was that much until I read the fine print. $8.99 a month, but they limit still that you can only convert 24 documents. Then you can get the one that's good for a year or something, but it's an astronomical amount and still does not do. You have an expiry. Like once you've done that many documents, you have to renew it again or something like that. I'm not getting into that. There's other ways around it.
Yeah, there are other editing. There are other types of software available for doing documents on Macs as well. So, and you can just do plain old notes and stuff like that if you want to. But
I am sure that I can find. I think Microsoft stuff. I just didn't spend the time today
Yeah.
to really look and dig into it. That's on my agenda to do as well. No sewing next week until I get my computers all going. So what are people saying here? Marilyn says, remember, you only get what you pay for. That's true. And Jeannie says, I hate word processing differences when you change to Mac. Yeah, it's another learning curve. What's the biggest difference, Laura says, you've noticed between the two? I'm contemplating getting a MacBook Pro for the digital drawing program Apple has. Oh, what's the biggest difference?
Actually, it's the one big difference that you have to get your mind around is that there's no C drive or D drive or something like that. All your files end up in file folders.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not there isn't really it's your Macintosh drive or whatever that everything gets put on. So you have to sort of get your mind around that. The other thing is that your desktop doesn't hold your applications. Your desktop holds your files, and your applications are on a bar at the bottom or in another window.
But you can make a shortcut on your desktop for them like you can in Windows.
Yeah.
I figured that out today as well. But it likes to take things and stick them on the iCloud. And we've got a family plan or thing right now. And how much space do we have on iCloud?
2 terabytes.
We have 2 terabytes. But, I'm wondering, I've got to go in and do some fine tuning on that because it looks like it's putting most of my stuff on
I do like
cloud.
having stuff stored up there because it.
Well, if your computer crashes,
crashes, it's there, and if you have to buy a new computer, it's all there. So,
but to answer your question about what it is, I like it. I was taking a big big expense. I mean, this is a $7,000 computer. Okay,
you bought an expensive one.
I bought a Mac Pro 16-inch Mac Pro 2 terabyte hard drive. And umpteen million CPUs in it.
And he has 64 gigs of internal memory.
Yeah. I mean, I have probably overkill, but the reason I did that was I figured, okay, if I'm going to buy this thing, I'm not going to cheap out on it. And because I make videos and do all that, I need processing speed.
I have a Mac Mini, almost bottom of the line one, that has 512K memory and 8 gigs of memory and 512K hard drive. So,
oh, you peasant.
So mine's like the bottom of the line one, but
yeah.
But I only bought the bottom of the line one at the time. Well, first of all, it was easier to get. Otherwise, I would have had to wait for it. And the other reason I bought that one was because I wasn't sure if I would like using the Mac. And I have liked using the Mac. So if next time if I purchase something else, I might get something a little bit more powerful. But
yeah, to go back to Patsy or to Laura's question about what the biggest difference is, mindset. It is a different way of thinking about how, like Walter said, the way how you do your directory structure, how you get into it. I mean, it just dawned on me last night that this thing they call the Finder is sort of what they call Windows Explorer on a PC, where you can see your directories and find stuff. But it isn't as easy. At least I don't find as easy as on a PC. Although today I feel much better than I did yesterday. I just burned my brain right out, literally, yesterday with it. Today I felt much more comfortable. And I did get a book, and I started reading it last night, A Dummy's Guide. Walter found it, he recommended it. And so far I am impressed by this book because it talks about the latest operating system, Monterey, which is the OS that's on this. And there's a lot of stuff. So the other thing that I really like is the clarity of the screens. We're looking down here at the screen on the laptop right now, but when we move our heads up like this, we're looking at a much bigger screen, which is a 40-inch Samsung television, basically, that I use as an additional screen to my computers. And its resolution is not as good as what's on the laptop, but because of the technology, it's much better than it was with the PC.
Does something when they output their signal to whatever monitor you're using, and it seems to be able to optimize it for that particular monitor. And somehow on PC World, it doesn't seem to figure out how to do that, and it is not as clear. When I have a TV set I'm using upstairs for my Mac Mini, and I was amazed at how clear everything comes up on that TV set. And I had originally thought what I'd do is go out and buy a 4K TV instead, thinking it would be a better clarity. But I'm so impressed with my 1080p TV that I have never bothered getting the 4K TV.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I'm trying to get used to is the fact that a program is never really completely closed when you think it is. There's a little red dot on the screen on the window.
Black dot.
It's a red dot on the screen.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it's
the equivalent to your X on a PC.
Except the X on PC actually downs your program like completely. Shuts it down. This does not.
It closes the window.
It closes the window. If you want to shut down the program completely, you have to find it along your bottom what I call a taskbar. I don't know what they call it. That's from PC World.
It's your application
bar, I guess. And there'll be a little dot under ones that are still open, and then you have to right click on them, and it says quit, and you can quit that. So that's, because otherwise you keep having things open, and that eats up CPU. I've got a lot of CPU storage, but like Walter says, holy shit, you got a lot of stuff opened up on here. And I said, yeah, I guess I should shut it down. It is definitely something that takes a little bit of time to get your mind around.
Stu's got this Mac, but he also runs PAL PCs. So if there happens to be something that you want to use that doesn't run on the Mac,
I can use it.
You can use it on his other PCs. So,
and before I actually physically got the Mac, months before when I ordered it, I was going on and looking at all my essential programs and things, and I was getting the Mac equivalent to put onto the computer. Like things like Artistic Digitizer, which is, the embroidery, very expensive embroidery program for the Genomias that I spent like $1,100 on back a year or so ago, and that. But they have a Mac version that was easy enough to download, didn't cost me anything extra. Electric Quilt, I did pay extra, but not the full price for it because I already owned Electric Quilt, which is also another extremely expensive program. For $25, I downloaded the Mac version of it. So far, everything that I'm putting onto this machine and everything, I have a lot of junk on my PC that I never use. You acquire junk.
And there was stuff I had on my PC that there are Mac substitutes for it that work better.
Yeah.
And I don't have to pay anything for it. So.
What I was really excited about today was when I installed Word onto this computer. It's a Word program. It's called OneNote, and I use it all the time. That's where I keep all my notes for my vlogs, my plans for different things and whatnot. It's always up on my screen, and I was hoping that they had it still, that this would work on the Mac, and it did. But what it also did was it seamlessly took all the stuff that I had on my PC in that program and put it right in, because it syncs it onto Microsoft system. And so bang, everything was there. I didn't have to worry about anything. Now, the one thing when you transfer all of your data from your old computer to the one, they have something called Migration Assistant, and it works through your home Wi-Fi system. Oh, that took forever. It took like 3.5 hours. Well, originally it said it was going to take 4 hours and something. And at times it just sits there and you don't know whether it's working or not. So I went online to see, is this really working or isn't it? And they were saying on there, well, the best way is if you were going from one Mac to another Mac and using a Thunderbolt cable. They said the slowest way is doing it through your Wi-Fi. Well, that's the way I was going. They talked about you could hook it up with Ethernet, but I wasn't going to bother with that. So it did do it, though. It transferred all the stuff, all the data. Unfortunately, it plunked it all into one kind of very messy directory, which I think now I have it all sorted out. But that annoyed me. But overall, I like the touch of the keyboard. The mouse I'm still getting used to because it's a magic mouse.
It takes a little while to get used to.
Like
I have
there's
one.
no buttons on it. There it is, magic mouse, very shiny.
It takes a while to get used to, but actually once you get used to it, it's okay.
Yeah. So that's a minor thing with it.
I know a lot of people hate them, but
I don't really hate it.
actually I've gotten used to it, and I don't even think about it anymore.
So people are saying things here. Let's go down.
What biggest is Patsy says she's going to have a funeral for her HP desktop. She's going to put all her files on her Surface. It's in my sewing room. I have to have a PC for some of the programs on my Genome.
Yeah. Do you have, Patsy, you've got a Surface. Do you have a long arm? Because that's what's on my long arm is the Microsoft Surface pad. That's what those work with. That is one thing. I don't think that I can put my quilt path onto this computer, like for the simulation mode, because they don't have a Mac version of it. But that's okay, because I don't really use that one on my PC. And as I said...
And you do have a PC. That
well, yeah, I'm not going to... My PC is still sitting over in the corner. It's going to still be operating. I'm not going to... I have several PCs, actually. One over there, one over here. The Mac over here, the iPad over here, there's an iPad over there. Yeah, there's a lot of things in here. So, Original Stitches. Hi, Original Stitches. Same with me. Are used WordPerfect when I first started working in 80s and 90s, but the last 20 years I've been using WordPerfect's just not kept up at all. No, it hasn't. And their upgrades are expensive every time they come out with them. And I'll let you know a little secret. I didn't pay for upgrades with WordPerfect. I had means of finding them in other ways. Can you say, hacker? Yeah. Never mind. Someone will put the police on me. Patsy says, I have to renew Office 365 every year. Yeah. You know...
Yeah, seriously.
I don't like that. I mean, I suppose, though... when they make updates, it's already there on it, and you don't have to worry about installing updates and all this stuff. But what happens if you don't have an internet connection? I wonder, does it still work without an internet connection? Does it download something to it? I don't know. I've never investigated that because I just won't pay the money for that.
Well, not only that, like because you got the Mac, you can actually purchase it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's...
you're kind of stuck if you're on a PC if you want Office.
Yeah.
And you don't...
Because you can't get it now standalone for the PC. Yeah. You're stuck with using the...
Yeah, like versions. I had Office on my PC, but I have a really old version of Microsoft Office on it.
But, yeah, let's see. Marlene says...
she uses Pages. That's one that comes with the Mac, so... I don't know what formats it can store in.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that one yet.
Future Cat says, I didn't know WordPerfect still even existed.
Using back the internet. Yeah, I know. It's... Well, see, WordPerfect was bought out by Corel. And so now they call it Corel Office Suite. WordPerfect is part of that suite, but so's their version of, the spreadsheet and PowerPoint-like program and all that stuff is in there. Still there. Derek Scott says, I teach science and the MS Office software has come on so leaps and bounds. Much easier to do technical symbols, equations, special characters, etc. Lots of students struggle with it, though. Yeah, I know. It's got its strengths.
Yeah, like I know when people had the old version of Office and it came up with the newer version with the, what do you call it, there's a guide at the top or whatever.
Oh, the assistant.
The assistant or whatever. A lot of people
paperclip assistant
that used the old version had struggled using the newer version. And actually, I never really used the old version, so I went from WordPerfect to the newer version of Office, and I never really had any problem with that. So,
yeah. But as I said, I've had to use both. WordPerfect was my choice. And one of the reasons I liked WordPerfect a lot was that they had something in it called reveal codes. And I used to have that on. So the last third of my document page, I could see what the computer was really doing. And that was really helpful if you had to edit something, because sometimes you get these spaces in, you're trying to get rid of them by backspacing, and they don't go away because they're a special code. And I really like that. And Word did not have that. And then Word started putting that in. And I don't know what it's like now. I guess I'll explore that a little further now that I have it on my, and it's going to be the one I'm using all the time. But I didn't like the way that they presented it when they first started doing that. Now that was years ago, so that's probably all changed now. But that was one of the reasons I liked WordPerfect better. But that's, you gotta learn new tricks as an old dog. Yeah, it's a serious machine, Maxie. I'm not fooling around. And it's very, very thin and very, very light. In comparison to my other PC, this one is about half the weight. If that, you can pick up with one finger. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I bought it as a laptop. I didn't get, like Walter got the mini. So he basically got nothing with it as far as, had to buy even a keyboard separate from it to operate it. And it's all done by Bluetooth, isn't it?
Yeah.
On that kind of thing. If I needed to transport this computer with me somewhere, then I could without any problem. It's supposed to have a really great battery life too, as well. But for me, it's not going anywhere with it. Well, if I had to take something with me for anything now, I'd take my iPad with it. Actually, yeah. I'm looking here. My iPad's almost.
I know somebody says here when they're trying to figure out how to download photos from their iCloud to the Mac. It actually does keep a record of your photos on the Mac, but it's not necessarily the full resolution. It stores a full resolution into the cloud. So yeah, I think all you'd have to do is click on it. I haven't really looked, because a lot of times I don't really need the highest resolution on my photos for stuff. So I think all you do is click on it and automatically downloads it if you're connected to the internet.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I have not used the iCloud that much with my PC. I'll probably use it more now with this.
Yeah, we can use external drives instead of the iCloud. But the one thing that I do like about the cloud is that if I have it on my Mac, I can go to my iPhone, I can go to my iPad, and all the same information is there, and it's all coming through from the cloud, which is what I do like. And I like the fact that it's off-site storage. It's not in my house, so if my house burns down, then everything doesn't disappear.
Well, the other thing too is if you're traveling and you've got an iPad with you, you can. If you've got a Wi-Fi connection or whatever, you can tap into your iCloud and you can download the stuff to it. Or even if, say you want to take videos with you on the road, but they take up a lot of space, you can put them on iCloud. And
I mean, I back certain files out to the cloud. I have stuff that are on a separate drive that I don't back up onto the cloud.
I think they're dirty pictures.
But I also have I use the Time Machine backups on a separate drive as well. So I do have backups of that I keep locally, but I do have some things that I think are important things that go to the cloud. So and some people say, oh, well, what happens if the cloud disappears or whatever and stuff like that?
If it rains.
Well, these companies that do cloud computing or cloud storage also have backups too. They don't have it all in one place. They usually back it up to, they may have it at one facility and they usually back it up to another facility in another location. So they have backups as well. It's not like this stuff will necessarily disappear. I worked for a company and they stopped using internal storage for that company. They started putting all their storage of all their documents on Amazon cloud computing services. And we're talking a government agency that is putting all government information out onto Amazon computing services. And they're trusting that. So
yeah,
lots of companies are using these cloud services for all their storage. So
yeah. Now the thing is, I had a lot of external drives. I had terabyte drives. They were Western Digital, and I had a lot of problems with them. Western Digital was not a bad company. They were at one point they were kind of at the top of all of external storage and things like that. But the problem is, I think at one point I had 4 of them, and they all have to be hooked in by USB. So then you had to get hubs, and I was when I was pulling the stuff out, unplugging everything. I had 5 hubs, daisy chained, and that's not good because that decreases the way things get transferred and the whole bit like that. No wonder I had problems with things and that. But it was because I was so paranoid about losing things. And then I had Seagate micro drives, which I had a few of those that were a terabyte in size. Still have them. And I was using those all in a series to the point when I got the 3D printers, I made a rack for holding all these little mini hard drives, basically, is what they were. So my octopus of wires was incredible. When I was cleaning out under the desk and undoing all that stuff, I was under there with the vacuum, and I swear I saw teeth on some of those dust bunnies under there. They were gnashing at me. They got sucked up. But yeah, so I'm very happy. I'm going more minimalist now. So the cloud is a good way to do that. But you got to wrap your head around the fact that your information is not right there at your house. It's out. But, that's the way things are going.
Businesses are using them and a lot of these companies like Apple and like Amazon storage facilities and stuff like that, they have high security. It's probably, nothing is not hackable. But, I mean, it's like my underwear drawer. I mean, if...
What, your underwear's hackable?
No. Like, I mean, is my information that important? Like, I mean, so...
Well, that's the other thing, too, because I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to data. And I save everything. And that's one reason why having to learn a new way of doing a directory structure bothers me, because I keep my things very well organized so I can find them. But, there's stuff that I save that I really don't need to save. So, now just backing up here. Patsy doesn't have a longer, just her 15,000. Needlesmith says, I bought new PC and transferred all laptops, external hard drives, old PC files to it. I use it in my sewing room for threads, magazines, tutorials, and the gift of stitching, so our Mac is all new. Yeah. Brown one says, I'm still running an old copy of Microsoft Office purchased in 2004, and it still works perfectly. I purchased it while at uni for under 100 Australian dollars. Yeah, well, if it's working for you. That was the other thing, too. I was upgrading all the time on the WordPerfect one, and, I wasn't using most of the features on it. You get the few that work for you, and that's all you ever use, and the rest of the buzzers and bells, like anything, you don't use them. So... Neil Smith, yes, they do download. I was trying to figure out how to keep high resolution. Thanks, Walter. Okay, so helped out Needlesmith. That's good. How hackable is the cloud and who has access to it? Well, like we were saying, anything can be hacked because there are always people out there that it becomes a challenge.
People can hack into your own computer too if they know. Like, if you're not careful, so they hijack your internet or whatever.
But I think it's less of a chance.
These companies, they're very serious about what they're doing with your information, and they have very good. I'm not saying it's impossible. I know Apple Photos at one point in time got hacked a while back, and Apple has a lot of security in after that happened, especially. They have whole departments that look after security in these companies. We did too when I worked for a major company. We had a huge security department that looks into and is on top of it when something happens to the information. So it is more than just a little hard drive sitting up in a building somewhere that nobody's watching over.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. But, Never say never either.
Never say never, but I mean, you can sit there and worry about it till death comes.
Yeah, well, true.
So I'm not getting that worried about that.
Well, don't put anything up there you don't want other people to see.
Yeah, don't put your dirty pictures up
don't
there.
Don't put your dirty pictures up there. Yeah. Let's see. Where am I? Needlesmith says, I have less virus hacking since going to Apple years ago. Well, that's the one thing Apple used to always be proud of, that, that you don't need virus protection because they're so good at it. Well, we both have virus protectors. I just put one on, one I've had for years.
I have one
ADG,
on there just in case.
Just in case. It can't hurt to do that. Original Stitches says, we are a financial institution that started using the cloud 6 months ago and in my 60s, so I wasn't familiar with it, but now I use it for everything, even my home computer. It works very nicely.
Yeah, my mind opened up when about the cloud when the business I worked for started storing all of their data on they were using Amazon servers, and since then I have embraced the cloud a bit more.
Okay, Marlene says, I love Apple Care and no security program necessary. I didn't think Apple Care had anything to do with security.
No. Apple Care.
I have Apple Care.
But Apple Care and security are separate things.
Yeah, Apple Care, I didn't think looked after security problems. Apple Care is if something actually physically goes wrong with your equipment. Like if you drop your laptop or your iPad or something like that. I didn't know, because I have Apple Care on all my stuff. They do
both, that you can run your Apple and not have to worry too much about security.
Yeah.
But and a lot of people do. But just in case, I come from an IT environment. I worked with computers for years, and I like the added layer of security that I've got, and another virus checker on top of that. Apple's becoming much more popular, and as these machines become more popular, they become targets of hackers. So
and these hackers will figure it out. I mean, it doesn't matter what Apple says that they're doing. Someone will figure it out. They always do. It becomes a challenge to them. Dana says, you're lucky you didn't have an electrical fire. Yeah, Dana. I also had about multiple surge protectors under there too, but it was a hellhole under my desk, I can tell you that. Bronwyn says, who owns the cloud? That's a very good question. Amazon?
Well,
Microsoft?
It's owned by, the cloud is not just one cloud, okay? There are many clouds, but it depends on what business it is. For instance, Apple has iCloud, and it's Apple's cloud. And all a cloud is a bunch of
servers, computers,
storage devices in
giant warehouses.
Giant warehouses
in multiple locations, so they're redundant.
Yeah, so they end up having one location that stores Palo data, other location that has Palo data. It's very hard to explain, but there's all these locations, and they back up between the locations all the data that they store. Amazon has storage warehouses all over the world. There's a big one in Montreal. There's ones all over the U.S. They're great big storage warehouses. They're data warehouses. That's what they have. All they have is data. They have a big, huge building that has all kinds of hard drives in it, or whatever you want, if you want to be simple about it. So there is no one cloud. There's many clouds owned by separate companies.
Yeah, and they're spread out all over the place. And as I said, they're redundant, meaning that they back up their systems to other systems. Yeah, so if something goes down, we would never know what problems they're having, because if they're doing their job right and the way they've got it set up,
I think they call it the cloud because they don't want it's a way. It's something that you don't really need to think about. It's something that the business that owns the cloud, that particular cloud, is something they handle. It's storage that they handle, and they sell that storage to other companies. Many companies nowadays don't. It used to be companies would store their data inside their own building, and then they often would buy backups that were outside of the building. But nowadays they just buy storage on the cloud, on a cloud. company that I used to work for bought storage from the Amazon cloud. So there's many other companies that run those sort of those services. So
Anne, hi Anne. Just found out about guys. Love what you're sharing. Okay, thanks Anne. Welcome. Patsy says, need to run. My computer guru, my son just came in. Have a good week, everyone. Okay, you too, Patsy. Marlene says, if they hack into my computer, they're welcome to my sewing programs and bland designs.
Jeannie says, which virus protector? We are currently using AVG.
AVG, yeah. I used to use Norton, but Norton was good at the beginning, but then Norton was taken over, or they outsourced their help to India or somewhere like that, and just, no, it's a piece of garbage. Norton is. AVG has been very good, although I'm a little worried about AVG because they're getting a little pricey.
Well, not only that, I have read that on Macs there are some that are considered better than AVG.
Oh, yeah?
So right now I was using AVG just because I'm familiar with it. So it may not be the best one.
Maybe not, but we've been using it for a while now, and I've had good luck with it. Marlene says, my Apple Care I use for help, the old lady with problems.
Yeah, Apple Care is, It warrants your computer for a couple more years. And it also will give you, if you need help with something, it'll give you help. We usually do our own help ourselves.
Yeah, we help ourselves, but to a point. But
we get it more for... I've gotten it more for extended warranty, basically.
Yeah, that's what I have it for, too, which I'm trying to think. I paid over $400 for Apple Care for this Mac.
I think it's good for 3 years.
Is it good for 3 years? Good, I hope so. Yeah, expensive. March Ann says, it's who has the multi-bucks for all the servers. That's right. And Broman says, is cloud information a sellable item? Oh, I'm sure it would be.
I'm sure it would be
if someone could get it.
Part of what these companies do is supposed to take care of your own information.
It's supposed to be encrypted on there. It's supposed to have all these security protocols in place. And
one thing people don't understand is they think that you can just go into these servers and just read the data. And what they do is they encrypt the data. Encrypt the data is they jumble it up so that it doesn't. It has to run through an encryption. It has to run through something to decipher it. Right, so it's not like it's easily read.
No. But anyways, it's an adventure right now with the Mac.
So I didn't think we were supposed to go through this as a computer self-help.
No, I know. But anyways, it's... Bottom line is, I really do think that... even though it was expensive, I'm glad I bought one. I've been toying with the idea for years and years and years. When I was a teacher, we were on PCs, not on Macs. So if I got a Mac, at that point, I would not have been compatible with the school system. I needed to be compatible with the school system. So that's why I never got into one. And I always knew people said that Macs were great for graphics work or for video editing and that kind of thing and music creation.
Plus, we've bought into the Apple atmosphere or whatever.
Well, yeah, with the iPads, the iPhones, the iWatches, yeah.
iPhones, iPads, and iWatches. And one thing that I've liked about having the Apple for me is if I do something on my Mac, like do a note or something, or make a list or something, it appears on my phone, it appears on my iPad. So that is also part of the cloud.
Now, that I haven't noticed yet. Is there something I have to set up for that?
I'm not sure. I don't think I set up anything, but it has to do with everything has to be on the cloud. So,
well, probably from the iCloud one. Well, whatever. So, anyways, that's the Mac. So, stay tuned for more information as I get it. So, moving on. What's coming up this week? Well, June the 1st is coming up this week. Often does. Well, at least once a year. On Wednesday, June the 1st, Craft and Chat, first Wednesday of the month. So when we all get together, those that can, and we work on whatever we're working on and have a good time, talk, chat, share ideas, whatever. So if you've never been to a Craft and Chat before and you're interested in coming, the link will be in the show notes below. And if you're on the mailing list, you already got an invitation. And if you want to be on the mailing list, I have 3. Retreat, which happens twice a year. Next one will be sometime in the fall. Pop-up sew days, which you never know when they're going to happen, because I never know when they're going to happen. And I only give you 24 hours notice about those, and usually through YouTube. But if you're on my mailing list for it, you'll get it a little bit quicker than that. And then, of course, Craft and Chat. So that's all in place, and that's coming up. And so if you can join us, want to have a good time, don't be shy. Come and play. And I'm going to sneeze. Okay, so continuing saga of Walter's tooth. So Walter had the rest of it taken out this week. Do tell. How was that experience?
I was a little uptight about it. I mean, it's only a tooth. But anyway, yeah, so I go to this surgeon, and he told me that I could possibly get my sinus perforated when they pulled the tooth, right? Which I was a little uptight about. That's the part that I was uptight about. I wasn't in the chair for very long. I probably only took a few minutes. He just dug right in and yanked it out. And luckily it all came out in one piece. It did not perforate my sinus. And it did put a stitch in, stitched me up. And now I'm on day 4 after it. And
soft food. We've been eating soft
I've been
food.
being very careful not to eat anything I shouldn't eat. Just to make sure everything heals up, and it seems to be healing fine.
Your stitches came out this morning, or dissolved, didn't they?
My dissolvable stitches dissolved this morning, and so far so good. I'm healing up. They did say that when he pulled the root out that it was infected. So I'm glad it's out. So
did you see it?
I did actually see.
What did it look like?
It was like about a centimeter or 1.5 centimeters long, and it was
the tooth part or the root?
The root part, and it was white with some meaty bits on it.
And what sound did it make as he was pulling
Well, it was more like crunch, 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 and then it came out.
Okay.
It was not, it wasn't pleasant, but it was quick. So
did it hurt?
I don't know. I think it was more my fear of it hurting. It seemed to hurt, but not a lot. And I was very frozen, so I don't know.
So, but this is not all. He's not done with these dentists. Next you go to
I have to go to the endodontist and get a root canal done. Actually, that one doesn't seem to bother me as much, so.
I don't like anything that goes.
Yeah, that'll be it.
And I hate it when it gets in there and it goes. And then smoke comes out of your mouth.
This one, they have to drill through a cap to do it. So, oops.
I mean, I went to the dentist this week too for a checkup and cleaning, and that was fine actually. Like nothing to it, but they would really love me to come every other day because the more money they make.
I know.
That little visit only costs $325. Luckily, we have insurance, so it only cost about $55 because I get 85% of it back from the insurance company. Except you have to pay for it up front when you go in there. Well, that's what.
Yeah, they don't like to.
They don't
like to say, "Oh, well, we'll wait till you get your insurance back."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, healthcare is covered in Canada, but dental care is not.
No, dental care is not. We have third-party insurance for that. I mean, it used to be when I was a teacher, I had coverage in that, but it wasn't even a totally 100%. I think it was about the same, about 85 with it. But anyways, Laura says, did it sound like a champagne cork?
No, it was too crunchy sounding.
Future Cat, it's time to go to work, so I'm off. See you all next time. Yep, see you later, Future Cat. Watch for the video when I put it up on Tuesday. It'll be Wednesday your time when you go there. Yep. So yeah, so Walter's adventure with his teeth,
Yeah.
which is always fun. So we found out something else. If you saw So Chatty this week, we talked about this extensively, but Walter did research, as Walter does, about the whole UPS fee structure. You know, United Parcel Services. I was talking about that with that fabric that I got from Quilting Apothecary that's in Michigan, and it cost me an additional $60 for it. So what are you giggling at?
Marlene says I extract mine every night.
Oh.
No, that is necessary.
Yeah, well, there are advantages.
Is there? I'm sure that to get to that point, you had to have more intense extractions happen. But
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, Walter found out some interesting stuff about UPS. Now, if you are in the States, and
it's not just UPS; it's basically shipping.
probably them all. But if you are in the UPS, this doesn't bother you as much because you don't have stuff coming if you're ordering it within the United States.
Not the UPS.
Yeah, US, whatever. Get different initials for these things. Anyways, you don't have to worry about it. But for those of us in Canada, if we order stuff across the border, this is a problem. So in a nutshell, what did you find out?
I found out that they have two kinds of shipping to, let's say, Canada or out internationally. They have something called DDU or DDP. I don't want to go over this too much because we talked about it.
Because we did it on So Chatty.
But one's called delivery duty unpaid, and the other one's called delivery duty paid. And what happens with delivery duty unpaid, the seller sends you the stuff, right? You pay your amount, they don't pay any extra taxes, and the seller sends it to you, and it's up to you when it gets across the border to pay for brokerage fees and to pay for duty and taxes, right? And that's where Steve got screwed up with the UPS because they charged them the duty and taxes, which we were used to having to pay, right? But they also charged him a huge brokerage fee. And that is what made it really expensive, right? But a lot of companies are changing to something else called delivery duty paid, which is DDP. And what that does is that us as a customer would pay duty and taxes at the time of purchase, right? And the company that's selling you the product will pay a very small fee in addition to use this service. And then when it gets shipped to us, we don't have to pay anything extra. And we get it faster. And what happened, why I started doing this research is because of the docking station that I purchased for Steve, I bought from a company in the US because it's not available in Canada. And they shipped it using DDP. So I paid taxes on the product at the time of purchase. They shipped it UPS. I got it in 3 days from New York City. And I didn't, it was delivered by UPS. I didn't have to pay anything extra. So it's really good for the customer if a company adopts this DDP service instead of using the DDU service, the unpaid service. So if anybody is listening that runs a company, you might look into this. So, I mean, even if you had the service for doing the prepaid service is supposedly a little more expensive for you to send it, but I'm sure the customer wouldn't be upset if you added let's say a DDP service fee to your order, because it's a lot cheaper than having to pay brokerage when you get it.
Yeah, so that's what Walter discovered with it. And hopefully, of course, you never know when you go and you order, unless they talk about it in their shipping policies, you don't know. And they don't usually, they just say, oh yeah, international, USP or UPS is the way it's going to come. So, you take your chances. And like I said before, if I see that it's going to come by UPS, I think twice about ordering it, which is unfortunate for the retailer. They're losing out on here because I know I'm not the only one, at least not the only Canadian that looks at it that way.
Fidel says in Mexico they pay a fraction of what Americans and Canadians pay. Yeah, but we don't actually have to put a rope around their tooth and tie it to a doorknob.
Or tie it to a donkey's leg. I mean, I don't know, Fidel.
No, actually, what happens is Canadians pay a lot because a lot of us have insurance for dental, and the dentists take advantage of that.
Yeah, they do. They charge above and beyond. They're allowed to charge.
That's why all our dentists drive around in Mercedes-Benz and premium cars.
Yeah. It's the job to be in if you can handle looking into somebody's mouth of hell with that. Not me, but others will. There's the three professions that are good professions to be in when it comes to making money: dentist, doctors, and lawyers. And heaven help any of you out there to say teachers, because we don't make that kind of money. No.
But you do make more than American teachers.
But we're worth more. Yeah. Well, yeah, we make more than American teachers. The way they treat their teachers down there is like disgusting when it comes to pay and everything else like that. Nielsman says, did you say there's a newsletter I can sign up for? I'm wandering around and may have not understood. Well, first of all, Needle Smith, I have a problem with that question. The fact that you're wandering around and not paying your uninvited attention to us is really hurtful. I'm sorry. I'm hurt. Just give me a minute. I'm a little unclined. Okay, I'm over it now. No, I don't have a newsletter. It's about Craft and Chat, my monthly little gathering. And the link for that's in the show notes below. That's what I was talking about. And I have a mailing list for that one as well. If so, if you want to be on any of the mailing lists, just drop me a line. My email is in the show notes, and I'll look after you. And Laura says, I got a huge order of storage cabinets from Scrap and Stamp in Michigan. I paid duty and taxes in Canadian funds, and it came in 4 days from Michigan by UPS.
Okay, but did you pay for that duty and taxes up front when you purchase it, or did you pay the duty and taxes when it arrived to you in Canada?
Yeah, was it an additional
charge? Did you pay
charge?
the duty and taxes to UPS, or did you pay the duty and taxes to the seller?
Yeah, because that makes a difference on that as well. Well, anyway, so that's what Walter found out about that. So let's talk about something else that's both cheerful. Gun control, again. Doesn't it seem after there's a massive tragedy, like the one in Texas last week and everything, and now people are all in the bandwagon again about gun control and whatnot. We know how the Americans feel about that. Well, some Americans, not all Americans, but it's no better here in this country either. In fact, somebody said to Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, who's running again, it's election time, his stand on gun control. And he basically thought, no, it wouldn't do any good because, there's lots of people that have guns and they're legal. It's the illegal guns that cause the problems. Well, maybe it is. But the fact is, nobody in modern day society, you've heard me say this before, needs a gun. You don't need a gun. Now, the thing is, there are those who are paranoid and say, well, you need it for protection. But if other people didn't have guns, you could knife them. So why do you need it for protection? For that. Here in Canada, up in the north, well, the native people and things like that, they're hunters, it's part of their lifestyle and their culture, and they need guns for that. No, they don't. We have supermarkets. If our government would put more money into the hands of the Indigenous people and help them build an infrastructure that could support grocery stores and things like that, they don't need to hunt either. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody needs a gun. And they don't need to be selling assault rifles. I mean, but it doesn't matter. Now, there was an incident here just a few days ago. Guy was walking down close proximity to a school here in our province, had a gun over his shoulder. Cop shot him. It was a BB gun.
Cop shot him dead.
Shot him dead. That's the policy anymore with the cops. Shoot first, ask questions later. They said to the guy, put down the gun. He said he wouldn't. He got shot. Obviously, this was somebody, a BB gun could do damage, but not the same as, an assault rifle. But, yeah, put out your eye, I think about Christmas Story or whatever with the guy, and he wanted the Red Ryder or whatever little BB gun. Put out your eye. And it did. Or something, or came close in the movie. This guy, what was he doing out there with this out there? Why didn't he get rid of it? Copycat. Okay? He was trying to make himself 15 minutes of fame. Well, he's dead. And ridiculous. Ridiculous. This kind of mentality. Yes, these people have mental health issues. Okay? But that's not an excuse. They need help. Yes. But it was horrible what happened in Texas. And right now, everybody's up in arms, pardon the pun, about the whole thing. But as one news reporter I heard say, yeah, that'll last for about a week or so. And then it'll all die down again and they go back to status quo, what they've been doing before. So it's crazy. I guess somebody here in our country, too, walked into, was it Canadian Tire or something?
Well, no. It was a few years ago. A friend of mine at work has had a son work at Walmart in Canada in a town next to us in Whitby, and her son said that there was a guy that walked into Walmart with a shotgun, and it wasn't loaded, but it was he was looking for shells for it. Well, I guess the cops got called on him real quick. So,
well, I remember many, many, many years ago when I was a teenager, I worked at Canadian Tire and I worked in the sporting goods department. And in those days, we had the guns out on display. They were behind the counter, but they weren't locked up. They were there. We had everything from 22s to shotguns, 12 gauge and that kind of thing. I think we even had a couple of those air pistols, the ones that took the CO2 cartridges or something. And right next to them all were boxes of shells for it. Guy walked into the store, wanted a gun. I sold him a 12 gauge shotgun and a box of shells. Because you didn't have to show ID, you didn't have to have a license for it. I didn't have to have a license to sell it. I knew nothing about guns, really, at the time, but sold this. About half an hour later, 2 cops walk into the store holding this gun up that I had just sold and says, "Who sold this gun?" I went, "I'm 16. Hello? Me? Doing my job? I don't know." And apparently I sold it to somebody who was what they called an outpatient from our local mental...
Funny farm.
Funny farm we used to call it in those days, because here where I live, we had a psychiatric hospital kind of thing, and they would let them out on day passes, the ones that weren't quite as, needy as others. And the guy came in and bought a gun. Yeah. So after that, there were some things that were changed, but really? That was how easy it was then, but obviously it must be still kind of easy. And I know people talk about using guns. They have them legally registered. They're using them for sport. They're going to a gun range. They like that kind of thing. Or they're going, my father was a duck hunter. I grew up with a shotgun in the house. And my brother had one as well. My grandfather too. Personally, I never got into that as a sport because, killing things is not my idea.
My parents
of a good time.
were very against guns. So.
But I don't care what anybody says about it. I'm sorry if I hurt some people's feelings in the whole bit, and I will not argue with you because you're wrong and I'm right. No, there is no need in the 21st century for us to have guns. Now, the argument's going to be, but the bandits have guns. Well, if we didn't manufacture guns, there wouldn't be a problem. Of course, I know.
Yeah, I know.
All the stuff around that. But I do not like guns. Even to the point when my nephews and nieces were born, the one thing that I said I was never going to buy them was a toy gun. Ever. And I never did.
I mean, there is stuff circulating on the internet that on Twitter I showed Steve the other day of a 4-year-old showing in some gun show. And they were getting him to show him how to use a gun, and he went through the whole process and showed how to use the gun, even load the magazine into it. And that's beyond my comprehension that any little kid knows how to do that.
Yeah, that's like, kid can't read yet, but he knows how to load a gun, a big gun too. But anyways, this is a debate. It can go on for days. We're not going to debate it.
No,
because I've said what I've said about it. You won't change my mind. I know I won't change your mind if you own a gun and you use it for sporting and all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the issues with it. And yes, in the United States Constitution, the right to bear arms is protected. In Canada, we do not have that. But we still have guns here too, unfortunately. So, yeah, but it's just sad. I mean, those little kids that I just can't imagine what their families are going through out of it all. So, and then the NRA has a conference or
and it's
something
not
right
just
the next
that.
day.
There's that shooting, and the week before there's the Buffalo shooting,
Yeah, and everything like
where
that.
people in a grocery store were all shot, and that is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just crazy for all that kind of stuff. I mean, when will it stop, if ever? We need to, if people need guns for like law protection things that they really got to invent one of those Star Trek stun rays.
Yeah,
Send
they
on
they
stun.
got to stop. They got to stop killing little kids in school and people that are shopping for their food. They got to start killing the Republicans.
Yeah, that okay. Well, then you might convert me, but on that idea. But anyways, you know what we're talking about. So we have another issue too that we were talking about. Walter sent me an email yesterday. I was having a really hard time with my memory. I think my brain was so overloaded with what I was trying to do with the Mac and everything. I couldn't remember 30 seconds after I wanted to do something what it was. But kind of like we're having issues with our memory. And you can say it might be an age thing or whatever, but I'm finding it a little scary, and I'm wondering if really I need to go and have my memory tested or something or whatever they do. I mean, both of my parents had dementia. Walter's family, his mother had dementia and stuff like that. And, do other people have a problem with it? Is this just something that's normal? Like, yes, we all do the thing. I just walked into a room and forgot why I was supposed to go there. We misplace things. We forget stuff. And that when you get to a certain age and everything like that. But yesterday, it really scared me that I could not grasp a thought. I'd like to say it was because I was being very overwhelmed, overloaded, but I don't know. So how's everybody's memory? Or do you remember what I just said? That could be a sign as well. Oh, Catherine says add veterinarians to the list. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, veterinarians as well to the list of expensive.
And you know what veterinarians do that the other three don't do is they're playing on your heartstrings when you get an animal in there because they're your furry babies, right? And they can't talk to you and tell you what's wrong with themselves. So you're relying upon a veterinarian to make the right diagnosis. And if the veterinarian says, well, yeah, we should do this test, and this test, and $3,000 later, and then you're left to weigh between the value of your pet's life and the amount of money that you can afford to spend. And they know that. And they play on that as well. I mean, hard decisions there. And I think maybe that's the worst of it. That they know that they're playing on people's emotions for money. Yeah. Judy says, no issues yet with memory. Well, that you can remember. Yeah. March says, I'm 72 and yes, I find myself forgetting things. Couldn't remember how to spell the word this morning. Well, I've been doing that all my life. You're fine. Just think positive. Yeah, I'm positive I'm losing it. In all truth, I have a long-term memory, but short-term is very scary. Yeah, actually, that's true. It's more my short-term.
That's the first to go.
Oh, great. Well, that's reassuring. Thanks for that. What's your name? Who are you?
I don't know.
What are we doing here?
You?
I don't know. It's a bit normal to stay hydrated and avoid carbs. That's a crabs for a minute there. Avoid carbs. But I like the carbs. Yeah. Get yourself some memory foam slippers. No more forgetting why you walked into the kitchen. And Sly says, my memory sucks. I'm 63. I take Pervegan every day. Oh, what's that? Does that something help with your memory? I know that people talk about, or did at one point, that Galoka, Galinga, Singalinga.
Ginkgo go.
Yeah, Ginkgo Gabloga or something. I think one of the problems, Derek says, is when we're all being bombarded with information constantly, every now and then we struggle to process and remember it. I got the hiccups now.
I have trouble by put something down, and I go, I had it a minute ago. Where the hell did it go?
It's kind of scary. Like, I mean, I I always had a fairly good memory, I thought, but there were certain things like I don't remember people's names.
I've always had a problem with that.
I don't even remember their faces sometimes. They have to do something. They have to say something or do something that's really going to stick in my memory. But I used to tell that to the kids in school,
Think of below Bilboa.
Yeah, but that's the stuff. I used to tell the kids that in school that, okay, I know your name here in the classroom, but as soon as you're in another environment, I won't remember it. So don't take it personally. It's just the way it is. Unless you do something really outstanding or horrible, it's probably good not for me to remember you because it's not going to be a positive thing, probably. Sweet Granny Quilting. Hi, Sweet Granny Quilting. I have brain fog, and that's tough. Yeah, well, I think we all get that too. Especially after that 12th bottle of wine. It goes. When I sleep poorly and late in the day, no memory. Good sleep, much better. Yep, that helps. So this I don't know how to say it.
Prevagen. More like pre-vagina.
That's something totally different. It's a supplement that's supposed to help your memory and focus. It's big in the U.S. Not sure if it's sold here in Canada. I don't know. Never looked for it. Didn't know about it. Marlene says, I'm 84 and I never forget Sunday Stephen and Walter live. Well, like I said, the important things in life we remember, right? Things that make an impression, I guess, or whatever.
I guess we got to worry about it if we forget to do this. So,
yeah. Well, Walter brought up something earlier today in one of his late night emails to me about it too. About and I got thinking about this. We've really been housebound a lot, since COVID and everything like that. And there is something called situational dementia that often happens to people in a nursing home who may not have had previously any real memory problems, but because they're in the same place all the time and really basically not getting out, they start to show signs of forgetfulness and of dementia as well. And they call that situational dementia. So I think my mother was starting to suffer from that as well. And it can develop into other things. So, I don't go anywhere anymore. We don't get invited to fabulous parties. Now that's a good one on a side. A person that I know that's having a birthday party in a few weeks' time, we got told that basically...
No, we got told originally that they said, oh, I'll invite you to my birthday party. And then when we're having it, because they rented a hall and everything like that. And then last week they told us that... oh, well, we have so many friends and family, coming.
Yeah, we had to limit the list.
We had to limit the list, so that means we're not invited.
Yeah. And actually, that's okay.
And that's okay because we didn't really
want to go anyways. I mean, it sounds like sour grapes, doesn't it? No, we didn't want to go anyways. No, no kind of a thing. But, yeah. So, whatever.
They could have just not bothered telling us and then not given us an invitation.
Yeah, really, out of it all. So, guess what? Not getting a quilt. So, screw you. Allure says it's Prevagen.
Still looks like pre-budget.
I know, okay, but get your mind out of the gutter. Derek says, I've struggled to learn all my students' names as they've all been wearing masks all year. When they don't have the masks on, I have no clue who they are. Yeah. I was thinking, I'm glad I'm retired from teaching.
Actually, I was always surprised at how many people I recognized when they were wearing a mask.
And they take it off and go, who are you? Could you just hold your... Oh, hi! I remember you now. Yeah, something like that. Neil Smith says, we stopped eating sugar and noticed we are sharper. We're 66 and 78.
That's our problem. We eat too much sugar.
Probably.
Anyway, yeah.
Drink too much. Eat too much.
Why is it that when we're just off topic here, why is it that when we go somewhere and you see somebody that and they're wearing a mask and you still recognize them, but Apple phone
has
face recognition has a problem with that.
And they supposedly put some upgrade in that for the masks that was supposed to help.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem to work that well. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. this memory thing. What were we talking about? I forgot. No. I mean, I make lists. I have to make lists or I will forget. And halfway through a list, something I want to put on my list, I forget what I want to put on it. So that's not good.
Well, maybe because we're not working, we don't have to do all the
Maybe.
memory stuff that we used to do.
Maybe.
Because I used to have to remember all kinds of stuff when I was working. So
Well, maybe. I don't
drink
know.
lots of water. Yeah, I know.
Flush out
Don't stop
impurities and
drinking beer.
toxins. Yeah, well, beer's made with water.
Yeah.
So's wine. So, I mean, I don't know. Well, yeah, you can do all these things, but I want to live too. I don't know.
Well, we'll work it out.
We'll work it out. Whatever. It's this. I am not looking forward to my 65th birthday. I think out of all my birthdays I've ever had, this one, it's too close to 70. I don't know. Just what happened to the years? You know, it just, whatever. So, well, I can't go back.
If you don't write it down, it doesn't exist.
Well, that's probably a good way to look at it, Dana. Yeah.
It's not important.
It's not important. That's what I say. If I don't remember it, it's because it wasn't important enough for me to remember. So that's it. And Kathleen says, I put the app Any List on my phone. I love it. I always have the phone with me and you can tap the items and cross them out when done. Yep, I do that kind of thing too, or have done that as well. Well, whatever. As long as I don't forget my own name. I
think we're getting close.
Yep, I think it's time. Yep, it's time for us to go. So thanks everybody for joining us. I hope to see some of you at Craft and Chat this coming Wednesday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yep, there'll be videos up next week as well. I've been working on those as well. And I hope you have a good week. Oh, this is a long weekend for the Americans, isn't it? So happy Memorial Day.
It's Memorial Day.
Yeah, that's right. With all of that. So, okay. So stay safe, everybody, and have a good life. And we'll see you next week, if you don't forget. Bye for now.